Internetians! This is Alias here to welcome you to part 2 of overanalyzing season 4 of Miraculous Ladybug. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right to episode 6, Soul Crusher. This episode starts from the perspective of a new character, Zoe, as she meets or rather gets tripped over by Marinette. We find out that Zoe is Chloe's half-sister and that she acts differently around her family than other people. Chloe starts to mentor Zoe in the ways of awfulness, and at first she seems to be taking to it. Marinette sees that Zoe isn't really being herself, so she reaches out to her. Mère Bourgeois and Zoe have a really nice moment together, and wait a minute, Mère Bourgeois directed Solitude? Huh. After putting her shoes in the cellar, Zoe gets akumatized and goes around on a kicking rampage. After growing several stories taller, she gets a hold of Marinette, who tries to reason with her, but to no avail. Marinette's able to transform, and they start trying to figure out where the akumatized object is. They find Andre's Cellar of Dreams, cue de-evilization, and we cut to Zoe going to the barge. After some genuinely endearing backstory, she gets a big bear hug from Ivan and almost kicked out of Paris by Chloe. But Andre actually looks out for her, and we have an ending montage of Zoe feeling accepted. So, since when has it been a thing where the akumatized object can be far away from the person? Hasn't the akumatized object always needed to be on their person, at least when they get akumatized? Also, I really like the detail that Andre directed Solitude. I don't think Zoe is a bad character, but she wasn't set up properly. Like, she could have at least been mentioned in the New York special, but she just kind of pops up out of nowhere and is clearly meant to replace Chloe. That means Chloe's development in the previous seasons is undermined and her development in this season is stunted. I like Zoe. If you've ever been bullied, her backstory is really relatable. Plus, her being an American in Paris is a really interesting dynamic, but that never gets explored. The season's finished and we don't know who her one friend was and how that relationship affects our current dynamic. I wish she'd been introduced in a different way and served a different purpose in the show as a whole. I wish the dynamic between Zoe and Andre was built up upon more. It was really sweet, and I would love to see more of it throughout the season. But, episode 7, Queen Banana. We start out with Marinette preparing for a student film, and then this episode just devolves into 20 minutes of Chloe being annoying. I would have completely skipped over this episode, but we've got to talk about Vesperia. Vesperia is the writer's attempt to completely replace Chloe as Queen Bee, which kinda needed to happen with the direction they took Chloe's character in, but they could have just not taken Chloe's character in the direction they did. I've never really liked Chloe, but she doesn't have to be a menace to society all the time. She can grow and develop. Vesperia completely stunts that development and gives the writers an excuse to hold off Chloe growing as a person indefinitely. Zoe does try to reconcile with Chloe, and the writers even hint at some future growth for her through this line.
Maybe this will help Chloe become a better person.
But yeah, at least in this season, it doesn't happen. Which sucks because Chloe is really annoying as an antagonist, but surprisingly palatable as a protagonist. The introduction of Zoe further cements the regression that Chloe's character had. And whether you like Chloe or not, it's really annoying. Episode 9. Optigami. We start off with Gabriel and Natalie.
Try to take over the world.
Defeat Ladybug. Gabriel calls Audrey Bourgeois and starts to set up his evil plan by creating an award for Adrian through Style Queen magazine. We cut to Marinette frozen with her ticket before explaining why Alia can't take the Fox Miraculous. The students head to Style Queen headquarters and Nino and Alia have a special high five. That comes into play later. Shadow Moth makes a sentient monster of Alex, who goes out and embarrasses Audrey on television. Audrey gets akumatized and starts turning people into piles of glitter. Adrian and Marinette get stuck in an elevator together. Using Optigami, Shadow Moth starts leading Style Queen to people who hold Miraculouses. Marinette calls the Kiwamis under the guise of talking to the fire department and tells Kalki to come to Style Queen headquarters. Optigami goes to the elevator Marinette and Adrian are stuck in, and they tease a real reveal before Optigami goes away. Marinette tells Alia to call the Kiwamis, and Kalki creates a portal for Alia to get back to the Miracle Box. Nino leaves his hiding place and gets glitterized. Shadow Moth creates a senti monster of Nino to lure Alia out. Alia transforms, goes back to the tower, gives Senti Nino the Miraculous, and gets Adrian out of the elevator before giving Marinette the Bee Miraculous. Optigami goes inside the Turtle Miraculous to lie in wait for it to be taken back to Ladybug so it can discover her secret identity. Ladybug, Rena Rouge, and Senti Carapace defeat Style Queen without Ladybug's Lucky Charm, a compact mirror. Before taking the Miraculous back, Ladybug sees Senti Nino doesn't know the special high five Nino and Alia did earlier. Told you that came into play later. She realizes Shadow Moth's plan and has Cat Noir cataclysm the Turtle Miraculous. We cut to Marinette's room, where Marinette gives Alia the Fox Miraculous to keep. And we end with Natalie and Gabriel bemoaning their loss before plotting to take over the world again, and teasing that they're going to target Alia next time. So this sign is not in French, it's in Latin. It has lorem ipsum text, which is really common placeholder text for when you're laying stuff out. So either the animation team just forgot to put text in, or in universe, someone made a sign with placeholder text. This episode is full of suspense and twists and turns. I love how all the little details come together and form a really tight episode with no loose ends or wasted potential. Except for this horrible reveal tease in the elevator, but it can be forgiven. This episode really delivers on the potential of Alia knowing Marinette is Ladybug. It also sets up Alia keeping a Miraculous. On top of that, it's a really good example of what Miraculous Ladybug can be. Smart, fast-paced, and full of interesting surprises. Episode 10, Senti Bubbler. The episode starts out with Marinette having a nightmare about what could happen now that Alia has her Miraculous. Marinette goes over to Alia's where everyone is looking for some small furry thing Alia lost. Marinette assumes the worst and then gets scared witless by a tarantula. It turns out the tarantula is what everyone is looking for. Marinette tells Alia about her nightmare, and as Alia tries to reassure her, the phone starts ringing. The ringing phone turns out to be Shadow Moth, who captures Alia's entire family and Marinette with a senti monster of the Bubbler. Shadow Moth tries to get Alia to betray Ladybug, but he doesn't know Alia has her Miraculous, and she comes up with a plan of her own to trick Shadow Moth into never coming after her again. But before she enacts her plan, she calls Cat Noir and essentially lies to him for no reason, and he's not happy with the impression she leaves him under. Alia creates an illusion of Ladybug and Cat Noir follows it because he doesn't know what's going on. Marinette intercepts Cat Noir and convinces him to stay put. Alia uses her illusion to say Ladybug will never give Alia a Miraculous again. Shadow Moth captures Cat Noir, and Alia creates an illusion to give Ladybug a chance to transform. Ladybug uses the Horse Miraculous to get the coffee cup away from Shadow Moth, and thus gains control of the Senti Bubbler. Shadow Moth Thanos snaps, the bubbler disappears, and everyone in the bubble starts free falling. Ladybug and Cat Noir catch everyone, including the tarantula. Ladybug goes back to congratulate Alia on a job well done and has the magic ladybugs fix everything. Marinette learns that Alia tricks Shadow Moth into thinking she'll never have a Miraculous again, and the episode ends again with Gabriel and Natalie plotting to take over the world. So why does Alia lie to Cat Noir? Can't she just say Ladybug can't make it in time and she has a plan? We start to see a new level of possessiveness from Cat Noir here too. It's not really sweet, but you can kind of see where he's coming from. It kind of comes together later on in the season, but for now, it just looks a bit possessive. This episode finishes establishing a new status quo for the show where Alia works behind the scenes freely. This would be a really interesting concept if they actually used it throughout the rest of the season, but alas, not much is done with it other than getting Nino akumatized again. But that's for another video. Thank you for making it to the end, and until next time, stop procrastinating, drink plenty of water, go to bed on time, and I love you guys. And the writers try their best through this line. I don't know what I wrote. I do not know what I wrote. Nope, that's not a sentence. To congratulate her on a job well done, and the magically So this sign is not in French. It's in Latin. It has lorem ipsum telepere. I can't speak in Latin anymore. People keep trying to contact me and I'm recording. I'm so sorry. This is why I was procrastinating so hard on recording.